Friday, October 13th, 1972. I don't remember the thud, I just remember the quiet. My eyes opened to a world that was no longer ours. 1 minute, I was 19, joking about a rugby trip to Chile. The next, my right arm is twisted, my blazer is shredded, and the sky is falling. I can't move. I look left, my friends are gone. I look right, my mother is gone. I am a rugby player. I am a survivor. I am a ghost. Out of 45, only 33 are left. This isn't a story. It's my prison. This is the Society of the Snow. Before the crash, we were just kids from Montevideo. Students, athletes, the old Christians Club. We had the arrogance of 20-year-olds. We didn't know how to survive this. Roberto and Gustavo, two medical students, became our doctors overnight. They used glass and torn shirts, but they couldn't stop the cold. That first night, the temperature dropped to minus 30 degrees. We huddled together in the pitch black, listening to the aluminum groan, listening to each other freeze. For 11 days, we survived on melted snow and hope. Then we found a small transistor radio. We huddled around it, desperate for a voice from the outside world. The announcer's voice was clear.
The search for Flight 571 has been officially canceled.
We were dead to the world. Our families had stopped looking. Gustavo walked to the edge of the fuselage and looked at us. He said,
I have good news. They stopped looking. That means we have to save ourselves.
By the third week, hunger stops being a feeling. It becomes an entity. There is no vegetation, no animals. I looked at my hands and I could see my body eating itself. We faced a choice that breaks human morality. To stay alive, we would have to consume the only protein available. Our friends who died in the crash. We wept. We begged God for another way, but the mountain didn't answer. It wasn't madness. It was a merger of the living and the dead. We looked at each other and made a pact. If I die, you may use my body so that you can live. We were no longer just survivors. We were a society. October 29th. We had been on the mountain for 16 days. I was asleep when I heard it. Not a crash, a roar. Like a freight train made of ice. The fuselage filled with snow in seconds. 8 more people died instantly. For 3 days, we lived inside a tomb, trapped under feet of packed snow, breathing recycled air. I took turns putting my mouth to a cold steel pipe we poked through the roof, just to remember what oxygen tasted like. When we finally dug our way out, the reality set in. The plane wasn't a shelter anymore. It was a graveyard. Nando looked at the wall of ice surrounding us and said,
I am going to die walking.
We knew we couldn't wait for rescue. We had to become it. We stripped insulation from the plane and used copper wire to sew a sleeping bag. Every stitch was a prayer. We were building our armor for the summit. December 12th. Roberto and I left the fuselage. We didn't have climbing gear. We looked up at the 15,000-foot wall of ice. It wasn't a mountain anymore. It was a staircase to God. On the third day, lungs burning, we reached the summit. I expected to see the green valleys of Chile. I looked over the edge, and my heart stopped. There was no green, just a sea of white peaks, thousands of them. I turned to Roberto and said, "We're going." For 10 days we walked. My feet turned black. We walked until the snow turned to dirt, and then I saw a rusted tin can, a piece of trash. It was the most beautiful thing I had ever seen. Day 10. The roar of a river. And on the other side, a man on a horse. I couldn't scream, so I wrapped a note around a rock. I come from a plane that fell in the mountains. I threw the weight of 14 lives across the water. Day 72. Back at the wreckage, we were waiting to die. And then, the silence broke. A heavy, rhythmic beating in the sky. I closed my eyes. I thought the mountain had finally driven me mad. When the helicopters dropped into the snow, the rescue team stopped in their tracks. They looked at us like we were monsters. They had come to find bodies. They didn't know they were walking into a society. They took us off the mountain, but the mountain didn't leave us. I stood in a hospital bathroom in Santiago and looked in the mirror. I weighed 90 pounds. The boy who played rugby was dead. I was something else. The world called it a miracle, but they didn't know what we had done. We sat in front of the flashing cameras and told the truth. We told them about the pact. We waited for them to call us monsters. Instead, the world wept with us. Out of 45, 16 came back. We left a piece of our souls at 11,000 feet. An iron cross marks the grave of the 29. The mountain didn't care that we lived. It just let us go. I was a boy. I was a survivor. I am a ghost. We survived because we chose each other over the silence of the snow. The mountain is still waiting. The snow remembers. See you in the next.